My wife says one day you're gonna get shot. I'm like, no way,
No.
no way, because I relate to them.
Yeah.
I was there.
Serge Bagdasarov is a walking miracle. When I say miracle, I mean yes, literally a miracle. His life doesn't make any sense on paper, yet here he is, thriving and doing what it takes to live exceptionally when he was guaranteed anything but. Serge comes from the meanest streets of the former Soviet Union, and his story only gets more interesting and profound. When you hear what he has to say, you'll know this man is on a mission. One of mercy and grace, one of hope and belief that something truly powerful resides outside of self, yet deeply within. Serge is my friend, a mentor, and a promise that none of us really know why we were made or where we are going. But if we trust that infinite spark hidden deep within, we can achieve anything and outlive every death sentence humanity throws at us. This is my interview with Serge Bagdasarov on the Rockstar Superhero Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Rob. What are we doing? Talk to me. Tell me.
Well, so I have my company, Rockstar Superhero, right? We have an institute, and it's an online institute. And the idea, Serge, is that we're creating content so people who are seeking how to set themselves apart, people who are seeking to endure financial misery, other issues, other concerns, just basically life. It's a safe space for people to go to watch videos, listen to podcasts, get content, meet business coaches. It's the whole gamut, but it's all built around faith. Because the thing that I've found is, sure, there's a lot of churches online, there's a lot of different ways to talk to Christian coaches, etc. But I wanted to create a platform that would have a little bit of everything, but that could speak to the masses, and especially talking to somebody like you who has not only an incredible company and you offer something really potent and valuable to consumers, but you're a businessman, a business leader who has achieved something a lot of people would say is, well, very, very difficult. And then lastly, Serge, we're talking about your life, literally your humanity, your life, your struggle, how you withstood the physical ailments that were put on you and how you applied your faith in the middle of it. That's really what this is about, because to me, you're such a fascinating character study of all the ways the world can go against you, where you grew up, all these little things, and how you can thrive if you put something first, something before you. And you've done that. And that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I've known you for a decade and you've never failed to impress or motivate or just charm. You've got the secret sauce, man. You do. You're very special. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show. Now that we're revamping it right in the middle of the coronavirus. And guess what? We're in a room because Washington State says where two gather in my name.
Without a mask.
Without a mask. Testing the limits of coronavirus powers and the power of the Holy Spirit being claimed victory over the top. So, yeah, that's why I'm here, buddy.
Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I'd love to share my story. That's all I've been doing for the last, I should say, 19 years. Is basically my mission is to inspire the world. To inspire the world, not to inspire churches. Churches don't need inspiration.
Nope.
Churches have their own inspiration. We need to inspire the world, and we need to answer the calling of our Savior that said, go into the world.
Yes.
That God so loved the world that he sent, and we all know the rest.
Right. But it's somehow, not just me.
Yeah, but somehow we tend to forget about the world, and we tend to, he's smoking, he's doing drugs, or he's cursing, he's listening to bad music with bad words. You cannot be friends with him. How is it that we cannot be friends with him when Jesus himself was called friend of prostitutes and friend of tax collectors and gangsters, and he not just went to preach to them, he ate with them.
He died for them.
He died for them. He spent his time with them, not just preaching with them, just being with them. I'm not saying go out and smoke crack with them, right?
Right. I don't think Jesus was lighting up a doob.
Yeah, but it's so sad to look at us today, and oftentimes I had the privilege of speaking in many churches, and I don't think they liked it much because I've asked the church members I said, who here has friends that are prostitutes? Do you have can you honestly say that I have some girlfriends that are prostitutes or some friends that are like drug addicts?
Right.
And they stared at me like I'm some kind of a psycho, like, what are you asking? How can we be friends with the world?
Yeah.
How can Christ be friends with the world? But yet to us, it's a shocker. We get shocked even from a question like that.
Right. Like it's somehow Jesus' call, but not ours.
Yeah. Like I can tell you tons of stories, just obviously not today, maybe sometime after, how I was in situations where my friends paid for prostitutes.
Oh my gosh.
For me.
Wow.
And they came to me and they said, your friends said that we don't have a chance. Do we? I said, of course you do. Sit down.
That's awesome.
And I shared my story with them and they cried. And then I went to the hotel and waited for my friends
to come back so you could beat the crap out of them.
So I could share the stories with them.
Yeah.
And
so did they do this?
Is that a shocker? It's a shocker, right? When I shared the story, people are like, no way. That happened not once,
Were they trying to mess with you? Did they know you were a believer? And
of course.
Okay, so
that's why.
So this was a test.
It's not a test.
Well,
they knew
messing
it.
with you.
I was just there with them, and I need to make a correction so people don't think that I'm just going into brothels like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I was tricked into going to karaoke bar. So I was thinking that we're going to a karaoke bar. That's what I was thinking. And the other time, I was thinking that we're going to a sauna. Just, we boys go to a sauna.
Sure,
it's like a Russian tradition. We go to sauna. We have some beer made, some similar to beer. It's a drink. It's non-alcoholic. It's like kombucha, basically. It does have some alcohol in there. But yeah, so twice I was tricked like that. And then all of a sudden, girls appear for order, and and there you go.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think we should cut some of that out.
No. I mean, as long as you got to remember, they're listening, man. I think what's really great, Serge, about you is the world is listening, and they're watching. But here's the thing. Look, I'm not gonna. I am, as you and I both know, I'm very much against what I would call churchism, right? That idea that we're supposed to be these pious, perfect people, because it's impossible. We can't be. That also doesn't mean that we should just go do whatever because we're covered in grace. It's great that we're covered in grace, but God still calls us to pursue our version of holiness as much as we can. And I fail miserably on a daily basis. I mean, you know me. You've heard me drop F-bombs. I mean, I've failed constantly. But I think the thing that I find really interesting, and I know this speaks for you too, is that whether you fail or not, the Holy Spirit precedes you. People feel you coming. They know this man, this human being, there's something special about him, and it isn't you. It's what's with you. It's what's in you. And the same thing happens to me. People say, well, you have these leadership skills. I'm like, I don't have anything. I don't feel like I have any talent. But what I do have is the passion for others, just like you, which is why we've been friends for 10 years, because you like me regardless of how freaking weird I am. And I love you regardless of how ADD you are. And I've given you crap about it for years. The best part is we're human and we fail all the time, but we keep going. So it's the story that matters. Humanity is always going to look at us as hypocrites. And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I'm a hypocrite. I believe in a holy thing and I still act like a human, but I'm going to chase the holy thing. And you do that in almost every step of your life. And I love you for it, because you're brave, and you've called me out when I was failing. And that's what a friend does. The world will let you fail because they want to watch you twist and burn, because they want you down at their level. And it doesn't mean we're above them, but we have Christ. So we're naturally, we feel like we're on skateboards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but we still crash and burn every once in a while, but we have a helmet on now all the time. You know, I know it's a weird.
No, that's what matters. My son skateboards now, and my daughter skateboards. So it's a great example. I know, and I used to skateboard back in the day.
Yeah, wow, that one worked out.
I can still do some tricks. Yeah, that's a great example. And of course, man, we fail all the time. I drop F-bombs even in front of my kids. I've done it a few times, and then I'm like, crap, what am I doing? I explain to them that we're not holy. We're trying to be holy.
Yeah.
We're aiming to that goal, but we got to do our best, and don't be afraid to fail. You fail, you get up and you go.
Yeah.
You know, I've the only thing that I haven't failed is I haven't done like huge things, the ones that I was just sharing, that I want you to cut that out, please, because of my business,
I will
company,
do that. Don't worry about it.
reputation, all that stuff.
Don't worry about it.
I don't want that out.
No,
of
I
it
understand.
Anywhere.
We'll just start with me, okay?
Yeah, but so my story.
Yeah. Start with where you were born. Do you mind?
Yes, 1981. Against all odds. My book is called Against All Odds.
Wow.
In spite of all.
You're
Against
so
all
young.
odds. In spite of all. I was born in 1981, former Soviet Union, Azerbaijan, country of Azerbaijan, city of Baku, right on Caspian Sea. Incredible city. If you Google it, the architecture, the Rockefeller family, that's where they started their oil, and they made a fortune right from my hometown.
I didn't know that.
Pretty much. Yeah. If you Google it, Baku, Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. Incredible city. Even to this day, it's like beautiful. It's fascinating. There's a lot of the projects that still stand were built under the guidance of my grandfather that recently passed away here in Kirkland. He even built the Hilton that still stands on Caspian Sea.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. So 1981, we were traditionally by heritage Armenian, even though we did not speak Armenian because we were pretty much raised in the Soviet Union. Our grandparents spoke Armenian, but fled from a bunch of persecutions. The genocide 1915, when the Turkish Empire killed over 1.5 million Armenians, and to this day, some countries don't want to acknowledge it.
Right.
Most of the world already is acknowledging the genocide, and I mean, all the historical evidence screams. The U.S. Embassy ambassador was right there documenting that stuff, and he wrote a book about it.
Wow.
And I have that book, Genry Mortengau, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can email you the book. It's fascinating.
Okay.
Like, he even has pictures documenting the exile and court orders and secret orders and all that stuff. So anyways, Armenia is the first nation that officially accepted Christianity as a state religion in 301 AD. The first church ever built as an official state religion, 301 AD, was Armenia. In Armenia, Mount Ararat is where Noah's Ark has landed.
Right.
The story in Mount Ararat is is Armenian mountain. Now it belongs to Turkey temporarily, hopefully temporarily.
After 105 years.
Yeah, but if you Google how Armenia became Christian, it's also a very fascinating story that I like to share a lot of times. Now, so technically we're Christians. Azerbaijan is a Muslim country for the most of it. So unfortunately, when there is no politics, nobody cares. You're Muslim, you're a Christian. We lived like one big family. We married one another. We had children together. My cousins have, their father is Muslim, supposedly Azerbaijan. The mom is Armenian, supposedly Christian. Nobody ever cared about that stuff, right? So then the former Soviet Union is about to collapse, and all of a sudden we learned that Ahmed is our enemy.
Yeah.
When
Weird.
Ahmed was our brother.
Yeah.
And everything starts. The craziness starts, and we fled as refugees from political and religious persecution. It was mostly political. That's how I look at it. And at that time, the only country that accepted the refugees was Moscow. I mean, Russia. So we flee naturally to Russia, to Moscow. And
How old were you?
I was about 7 years old. That's when my childhood ended, pretty much. And it was amazing seeing all the things that I've seen. I'm gonna let you read my book soon when it gets published. Hopefully, maybe in 10 years.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll definitely read it, and I'll definitely tell everybody.
Still have a lot to write about. And so we fled with 3 bags of clothing, left everything behind, and Moscow was great. I made a lot of friends, and I've experienced a lot of racial discrimination.
And you were speaking Russian at this time.
I was born speaking Russian.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure if there was some, Uzbek, you know what I mean? I don't know what the language would
Yeah.
be. Is it Urdu or something like that? But,
Azerbaijan, back then,
Okay.
most of the republics, the Soviet Union had 15 republics.
Right.
Pretty much all of them, they tried to make them to forsake their own language, to forsake their heritage, and basically they tried to Sovietize the whole world. The goal of the Soviet government was to basically make the whole world red.
Yeah.
The Communist Party. Even right now, I just got back from Capitol Hill. I spent the whole day there. And things that I've seen there are completely insane. Like,
Yeah.
Lenin was right. Read Karl Marx, equality for all classes. It's the same thing that is going to lead a country to destruction eventually, because that's what communism does. Socialism is not a bad thing if you look at it, but without capitalism,
socialism becomes communism.
yes, unfortunately. So it's
a gateway drug.
Crazy thing. Yeah. So so then we flee from Russia. We flee to America in 1986. We fled as refugees. We moved here to Bellevue, and I've been pretty much here in Bellevue since 1986. I've always knew that I want to help people and make a difference in people's lives. Just after what I've been through, I always wanted to help, and got involved in the mortgage industry right away. 1988, I was at Western Federal Mortgage down in Bellevue. By the time I was 19, I was the youngest marketing director for a mortgage company, and in charge of older people, much older than myself, hiring, training loan officers, writing scripts, and doing all kinds of things. At the same time, my brothers were always involved in the show business and the nightlife, and I always seen what drugs and alcohol do to people. I've had my own struggles for a couple years, nothing major, but and I've seen how drugs and alcohol can actually destroy people's not just health, but the entire life would go down the drain.
Right, their families.
Fortunes, families, lives, marriages, children, all kinds of things that alcohol and drugs will destroy if you let it control your life. And I've always wanted to help, and I've been helping ever since I remember myself. Since I was like 16 years old, I was already helping people seek help for rehabilitation from drugs and alcohol, and then after they come back, they obviously don't have a license. Many of them lose their driver license, have a bunch of collections, so I would help them naturally to get their licenses back. I would call, settle their credit cards, help them pay some fees, get on a payment plan. And so I was already doing all of that.
Yeah.
And then my loan officers would come to me and say, Serge, we have all those clients we can't help because they have judgments, garnishments, collections. Help us find a company that will provide service. And I said, of course, God's greatest country on green earth, right? Michael Medved or Michael Savage.
Michael Medved.
Whose phrase is that?
Film critic. I don't know who said it, but just I can't get over the fact that you said Michael Medved.
He's a good guy.
He is. He's a nice man.
I don't support some of his theories, especially about the Indian.
No.
He actually says there was no Indian genocide.
Oh my
Dude,
goodness.
like 60 million,
Yeah.
60 million Indians were slaughtered.
Everybody's got some whacked thing that they buy into.
Yeah, but
it's
he's
funny.
got good books. I got a few of his books. I really enjoy listening to the guy and reading his books. Just like Michael Savage that talked about all kinds of crazy things and got kicked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to
loan officers.
Yes.
I said, of course, I'm going to help you find somebody, and I could not find a company that actually would really help people. All I could find are people that told me, "Oh, we delete everything. Pay us monthly fees. We delete everything. We delete your collections. We delete your late payments. We delete judgments. We delete garnishments. Everything. We just wipe everything off."
So when you're saying delete, do you mean turning a blind eye? Like, just like, hey,
no,
if you're paying us enough money, we're going to pretend we don't see this? Or
No,
they're
no, no,
actually...
no.
Okay.
Delete from credit reports.
Credit repair. Yeah.
From credit reports. So my loan officers were asking me to find a company that can help them basically clean up credit reports.
Gotcha.
So they could close more loans, because they could not close a loan that had judgments, garnishments, collections. So I said, of course I'm going to find you somebody. And I embarked on the journey trying to find a company in this huge nation of ours, and I could not find a company that would actually tell me what I wanted to hear. And what did I wanted to hear as a professional in the industry? What would you want to hear if you come to a mechanic that will change your oil?
I can fix this.
Naturally, the mechanic needs to not just change your oil, but also change your oil filter, right? So imagine you find a credit repair company that says, we're going to send some letters to try to delete your collections. But if they're not deleted, we don't help you to settle. We don't help you to negotiate. We don't help you to actually deal with the problem. But we can send some letters, We'll send some letter. Hey, I'll change you're taking your wife and your kids to a trip to Portland, and you want to check your tires, right? And normally, normal people have 4 tires on their vehicle, right? So your mechanic will tell you, Rob, I will check 3 of your tires, but the 4th one is okay. Just go on. It's fine.
I'm sure it'll be okay.
And that's what they do.
Yeah.
So, but wait, we'll send some more letters. Maybe we'll have some more chances to delete that now, because in the first round we did not delete it. So we're gonna try again. Okay, but the collection is verified. It was just reported. It's my collection, dude. It's mine.
Right. It's real.
Logic tells you that it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it needs to be settled. It needs to be negotiated. Who's going to do that for me? Well, sir, here's a number. Call and settle it by yourself. Or you have to, but it's a judgment. Oh, it's a garnishment. So now you have to pay thousands of dollars to hire a lawyer to stipulate the judgment, to stop a wage garnishment. So it may sound confusing to people, but all that crazy stuff, it's the reality. Like 9 out of 10 people right now are dealing with bad credit, especially with this whole craziness. It's going to get bad and ugly. So I could not find anybody that would tell me things the way they are. So what did that tell me? That told me that I need to be that light in this kingdom of darkness. I need to do something and make a difference, because it's such a huge industry. But I'm not a businessman. I've never started a business. I've never been in business. So I didn't think that I could do it. So 2003, I am in my office. I fell down. I start shaking. Like an epilepsy attack. I get rushed to a hospital, and doctors find a huge brain tumor size of an egg in my right lobe. And they tell me I need to go through an emergency surgery that can leave me blind, paralyzed, or dead. Huge brain tumor size of an egg. Yeah. And I am shocked. I've never had anything like that in my family. I've never thought that I could go through something like that, but I had no fear, because I've been through so much. Like, I had no fear. And many times I got on my knees, I prayed, I said, God, help me to get out of this. I promise I'm going to quit smoking.
Wow.
God would help. Next day, Serge is back on his own ways. It
Yeah,
sounds familiar to many
very,
of us.
very common. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy things God would get me out of, and I would be back on my own ways. But this time, I knew it's transformational time. I've came to a crossroads, and I've never encountered anything like that in my life before. Obviously, I've been dead a few times, but nothing major like that. So I got on my knees. I said that prayer. I said, God, if you let me live through this, I promise I'm going to dedicate my life to serving you and serving people. No thunders, no special effects. I get up with complete peace on my heart, and I go on to my surgery at the UW hospital, 7-hour brain surgery. Next day after, I get up and I go home without a single painkiller. Shocked the entire staff there. Doctors came from other floors, and they looked at me and they said, we see a lot of miracles, but this is insane. Like, are you sure you want to go home? I said, yeah, test me, check me, release me. They gave me a few tests, and one of them was I walked from one end of the hallway to the other one and back without any support. And
this is literally the next day.
Yeah, the next day after the 7-hour brain surgery. Yeah.
Wow.
And I immediately, when I woke up, I realized that I'm free from smoking and I don't need a cigarette in my hand. That's been there for many, many years. And many times I said that I'm going to quit and could never. Well, I quit for a few, and then
right. But that was the wake-up call for
one
sure.
Beer and boom. Yeah. In a way, it is a wake-up call. But then I look at some of my friends. They had lung cancer. They had all kinds of deadly diseases. They had their children kidnapped. They had so many crazier wake-up calls than mine. They made so many more promises than mine, and they still don't wake up. So I often wonder, is this really a wake-up call, or it's just that timing? Where's that line? Like, imagine your children being kidnapped.
Right.
Imagine you dying in the hospital from lung cancer and you praying and God heals you. And then you're back in the streets doing heroin.
Yeah.
I've got friends like that.
Yeah.
I still have friends like that. My friend overdosed last night and his younger brother saved him, barely saved him. And a few hours after that, I picked him up and I took him to rehab, to Greyhound. That's what I texted you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's alive. He got him back to life. His older brother. I've been trying to help him for the last decade. I pulled the gun out of his mouth like twice when he was about to shoot himself. I've got stories like that every single day. So I think it's about a choice that you make, and it's about perfect timing. Like, God has his time, and we never know when that time is. So anyways, lo and behold, a few weeks later, they call us back to the hospital and they say results of your tumor came back. It's actually 3rd-stage brain cancer, and you need to go through chemo and radiation. And I denied chemo. I said, I don't believe in your chemo. I don't want any chemo. I don't have any cancer. I just had that peace on my mind. Few people in my family, and we also have a doctor in my family. My aunt, she's at the Veterans Hospital, Seattle. She said, Serge, you can't do this. You have to go through at least the radiation just to be safe. And I'm like, okay, whatever, yeah. So I start going to my radiation. Imagine an oncology center. People rolling there in wheelchairs, in hospital beds. There's
They're all dying.
Sorrow, there's tears.
Yeah.
People, loved ones are sitting in the hallways. And here I am bursting with energy. I'm flying in there, smiling and showing my Frankenstein scar to everybody and flirting with the nurses, making jokes with everybody. Flirting is not the right word, right? Making jokes with the nurses.
It's okay. We know you were flirting. It's okay.
Yeah. Throw a rock at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I doing here? So I did finish a few weeks of my radiation therapy, and that was 2003, 2004. My wife, girlfriend of many, many years, since 1997, we've been together. She said yes. Before that, she told me many times that I'm not going to marry you until you stop smoking, drinking, and partying the way that you party. When we usually partied, we started on Monday, we finished on Monday, so that's a whole other story. But
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, so she said yes, we got married. In 2004, my son Leon was born. In 2006, the company where I worked for went bankrupt. I just bought our house here in Redmond, and my son is just born. My wife is home after college almost a year, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Company went bankrupt. I have no savings. I have nothing. And I think my father was an inspiration at that time. Well, my father is a whole other psychological story. I never really had a father. We kind of split when we were 3 years old, and he had his own family. And then later, he sort of remembered about us. And I mean, he always remembered about us, but
he would show up. He would come in and out.
yeah,
of your life.
he tried his best. I can't judge him. He's still my father. He gave me life, so he would try his best. But it was crazy, the war, all that stuff. So my father, I think, was the one that inspired me. He said, with all your knowledge, with all your connections, why don't you just do it? Start helping people. Start your company. And I started in my basement, in my library, in my house, with $100 investment into this company. And now we're nationwide. By God's grace, I was able to find the right partner to help me grow.
Yeah.
We have a long way to go. I've made a lot of mistakes on the way. But from day one, I decided that we're going to build this company on the foundation of telling people things the way they are. If it's your collection, there is no magic wand. It's not going to go anywhere. We are actually not just sending out a few rounds of letters. My company provides a real life support personal coordinator to handle your collection calls, to handle your settlements. If you're able to be current financially, we take care of all of that. We also provide a personal client manager. So 2 people, so you get an entire team that is dedicated to help you get to where you are. Once we hopefully get you to where you need to be with your credit, we also believe in absolute life. So we also have an insurance company through which we supply financial planning,
Nice.
budgeting, insurance products that will help you plan out your wealth management, your retirement planning, your kids' college education once you get there. I'm
Right.
waiting. I have pending deals that I'm trying to land with Department of Corrections for women's prison, for men prisons and juvenile facilities and rehabilitation centers, in a program that I have designed seminars called Life After Cuffs, that we are educating. I believe in education and helping people understand the reality, because most people have no idea how credit impacts your life, your insurance products, your cell phone bill, your rent. Everything is impacted by your credit. So since 2006, we've been doing all of that. And I believe in people, real people helping real people. Dave Ramsey, great guy, great program, but books and CDs are not going to help you change your life.
And it's just one part of the financial process. I mean, yes, take some good steps to being wise, slowing down your spend, preparing for savings, preparing for the long haul. It's all about just that, but it's more front-end education. Seems to me you're about the repair of the person that literally cannot manage money, that has no fiscal literacy, and then you prepare them to step out of their financial chaos into a life that's sort of been financially retrained. That's your whole focus.
Yeah. And Dave, if you listen to Dave's programs, if you follow his advice, that I'm not sure he himself follows. I hope he does.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave, if you're listening.
Your buddy Dave.
You and I know, Rob, we worked with people for many years. Unfortunately, the reality is that 9 out of 10 people that will buy the books, those books will end up at the Kent fulfillment warehouse at Amazon, right? 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10.
Yep.
But I know people that follow the program, and yes, they became debt-free. There are thousands of testimonials from real people whose lives were transformed after Dave's shows and books. So not a single doubt that it works.
Yes, if you follow it.
So we are the guys on the front line actually helping those 9 out of 10. We're helping those 9 people with real support, giving them a personal client manager, personal settlement coordinator that actually helps them deal with this stuff. And after, that's where the programs that they have designed, and we do similar trainings from all the advice that we give people, and we get them on a budget, we get them on their right path, basically. So it's been almost 15 years. So that's my crazy story.
It's amazing. I mean, one thing that I want to know, though, and that I don't know, and you kind of touched on it about your father, is did you grow up feeling like you had a positive family environment, or was everything a fight for you?
Man, if I could swear right now.
Well, you can.
No.
You can. I mean,
no, I don't want to swear.
I know. I understand.
I'm just saying that no, by any means. No, I grew up in a crazy circumstances. Like normal people don't make it through how I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let alone all you've experienced after you've grown up as an adult, all the changes you've had to make, the ways you've had to alter your life based on your surgery, how your business has rolled. Certainly over the last, again, since I've known you, your business has gone through some major changes. I mean, they seem significant to me. Am I incorrect? I mean, you've certainly made some big things happen. If there was anything that triggered you, I know you were in the lending space, and I get it that they assigned you to go out and look for somebody to help us fix this, and you said, hey, I don't find anybody, I'm going to go do it myself. But before that, what was the reason you stepped into the mortgage? I mean, what was that first step you took, and why did you take it in a career? Like, why this career, and why money?
My brother.
Okay.
My brother is the one that got me, well, in a way. So I was always into like marketing, advertising, helping people, working with people. So my first job at Western Federal Mortgage that I mentioned earlier, I was a telemarketer. I started as doing telemarketing for loan officers. I was getting leads for them and calling people.
Tough gig.
Yeah, though I was 17 or 16.
You don't really care back then.
You
don't know what disappointment is yet.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, and there I already started talking to people with bad credit and pre-qualifying them for the loan officer. And then it was just naturally, and then my brother got a job as a loan officer with American Lending, and then through that, he said, "There's an opportunity here to do marketing stuff." So I met with the lady who was the owner, and she loved me so much. She loved my charisma. She loved my ambitions, and she actually made me a marketing director when I was 19. Yeah, I worked with her for a year, and then she offered me a position as a marketing director. She gave me an office, big office with a water view and Juanita, and 11 people, and I built the telemarketing department for her, and we later were training loan officers and hiring and writing scripts and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess I owe it all to my father and my brother, my older brother.
Well, I think it's true that when there's chaos, I don't know one incredibly famous, rich, wealthy, driven, or all of the above people who have had an easy life. In other words, I don't know anybody that's sort of earned their way and proven what they're capable of and maybe sought after a higher authority than people that have gone through the worst as a child. You name any famous individual, and they've all had a rough childhood. Family and divorce, suicide, drugs, abuse. One of my closest friends, which I don't remember if you met him prior to him passing, but his mother killed his brother in front of him when he was a baby, and his first memory is his mother smothering his brother. That's his first memory. And he went through life, he because he was trying to cover the pain, he became a major drug addict and chased after the sex, drugs, and everything, and then did really well in business, but he was always seeking the fix. He wanted to seek a way to sort of re-stitch his heart back together. And the only thing he found was Jesus. And not to say that Jesus wasn't enough, but Serge, for Michael, Jesus wasn't enough, because what happened is he couldn't actually step into a relationship. The difference between you and Michael, and I'll finish with him in a second, is that you stepped into a relationship. Michael had him sort of in the back pocket, but he never actually pursued a Christ relationship. And then when he got to a point of no return, he jumped in front of a train. And, you know, he didn't just die, he died awfully. And I understand everything about that based on what I knew about him, and I knew his whole experience, and he would cry and howl in a way of pain I never could understand, because he had witnessed such atrocities so young, and it was burned into him. But you, growing up, how's you grown up, having your father out of your life at a very young age, you had a million reasons to fill that gap with anything the world could give you. And of course, sometimes as humans, we do that. But you, when you sought out the Father, when you actually found your creator versus the opposite, and not to knock your human father, but when you sought the creator over your human father, and you used him to impact and fulfill you, he pointed you towards a destiny that he had created for you from the very beginning, regardless of your life circumstances, and you stepped into that. And that's balls. Because it's actually difficult, because God doesn't go, oh, you believe in me? Okay, here, I want you to have this Ferrari. I mean, I wish he did, because I'd really like to drive a Ferrari right now. But it's like believers, we've been given an extra dose of crap that we will carry with us our whole lives, that because we carry this persona of, oh, you're a believer, which the world hates. So how did you do that? How did you did you just put your feet forward and put your eyes down and just refuse to acknowledge everybody telling you no, or that's a bad idea? How did you do that?
It's tough, man. You know, so many people ask me, and then like I've shared with you about a lot of my friends that are still, after all kinds of crazy stuff, they still out there doing crazy things. And some people tell me, oh, it's your good heart, because you always helped so many people, and you wanted to give your last shirt away. That's why, you know, God kept you alive. And I'm like, yeah, right.
He doesn't need me to do that,
that's
by
the
way.
biggest BS. Yeah, because I see so many great people, so much more kinder and givable, and whatever you want to use the words, that they die at a young age.
Yeah.
They die horrible death at times. Mm-hmm. And then I see all those drug dealers killing our children, poisoning our children. They live and prosper till 70s and 80s. And, you know, it's so, I believe, like, how do I say this? I believe that it's not that I believe, it's what life has shown me, that it's nothing but God's grace and mercy. That's it. By God's mercy, by God's grace.
Is it because, though, because you say that, a lot of people say that, and this is not a knock. I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah. It is so hard to define what that means to the world.
Yes.
It's actually impossible. Because it
is impossible. Yeah, they don't get it.
They don't get it. And you know, I don't remember the exact verse, and I should look this up one of these days so I can just say in Hebrews or whatever. But the verse that says Jesus is a conundrum to the Jews and folly to the Gentiles. The idea that he doesn't make sense to people unless, quote unquote, he's chosen you. That whole, you know, I predestined you knowing you would pick me.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one.
Yeah, but it's choices. I also use the word choices. It's your choice. You know, we can leave God out of it. We can leave a religion out of it.
We can just be nice people.
We can leave everything out of it, and we can just use the word choices. It's your choice. Today, I made a choice to wear this Lululemon.
I should take a photo.
You know.
Don't take a picture of me. I'm chubby, man.
I made a choice. It's my choice, you know, so it's all about your choices. How do you make that choice? Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but we got to make our choice.
What would you consider your greatest accomplishment so far?
My greatest accomplishment so far would be alive, that I'm alive today.
Yeah.
For my children, for my wife. My greatest accomplishment is that I don't even know, man. I think I don't want to be proud of what I've done, and I don't think I've made a lot of mistakes, like I said, but my greatest accomplishment is probably the fact that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best
Yeah.
to stay alive.
Well, in the Bible, King David is looked at by God as a man after his heart, and yet King David had people killed, cheated on his wife, did all these awful things, but he believed in an authority above him. That's the one thing that David clearly made evident to the world, and the Bible shares, beautifully, is David, regardless of his circumstances and regardless of his sin and an absolute failure to his nation and to himself and his family, he was a man after God's heart, because God knew he would chase him and would submit to him. He knew that David understood, and this is something that's become a huge component in my life, and I think it's yours as well, Serge. He knew, and I really truly believe this, without arrogance, I believe the strong believer understands quiet authority, that there is something almost secret about that hidden, it's like this hidden component of God, as Jesus, as our Savior, as the Holy Spirit, that is hidden. And it's our pursuit of that hidden that really gives us an understanding of the truth that God has for us, regardless of our circumstances, because you've experienced all of, in a sense, the worst things that life can dole out, and yet you're experiencing great joy and harmony. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you see yourself as a leader in his kingdom? Because I see you that way.
Of course.
Yeah. Because it sounds arrogant to say, "Oh, there's Serge, he's a leader," but you are. Why do you think you're a leader?
Why? It comes naturally. I don't think that. I know John Maxwell has done a great job in trying to train leaders and trying to raise up, train, but I think that somehow, my own opinion, obviously, I think that it has to be naturally. It has to be in you. Ever since I remember myself, my mom said that when I was 6, 7 years old, I have led crowds from our neighborhood, that boys like 12, 13-year-old boys, they would follow my lead. Mm-hmm. I would make peace so many times that other neighborhood would come and have beef with the other neighborhood, and like real beef, like teenagers in the time when we grew up would carry knives and baseball bats, and kids died and teenagers died, and I would be that peacemaker. I saved a lot of lives. I know that I saved a lot of lives even before I sort of gave my life to Christ and prayed my first prayer ever. Mm-hmm. I was already saving lives by obviously His grace, not even opening up a Bible once. Mm-hmm. My first time that I opened a Bible was probably when I was 13 or 14, Teen Challenge Ministry, David Wilkerson. I was in Moscow, walking around the streets, smoking.
Really?
And I encountered this man that's passing out tracts from Teen Challenge Ministry.
Now, was he an American guy?
Yeah.
I bet you I know who it is.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Wow.
In Moscow.
I had no idea about this story, this part of your story.
Yeah, I still have that. I will show you my my Bible that they gave me. It was a young man that gave me a Bible, and I even wrote it. My first Bible, 1981.
Wow.
No, wait, I was not 12. I was
what? No, 81. 91 would make you 10.
Yeah, 10. I was 10 years old when I got my first Bible.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you said something that I want to touch on because I've always seen it this way. You are a peacemaker.
Yes.
You've been a peacemaker in my life. And it's funny because what is your identity now? Well, clearly it's still a peacemaker. It's just a different kind of peace. Yes, you continue to serve others through your sort of a internal mission of saving people from themselves, drugs, alcohol, right? That sort of failure. But clearly, as a leader in the financial industry, I mean, it's all about financial peace, right? I mean, isn't that correct? I mean,
financial peace.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you continue to do. I mean, have you ever really thought about it? That is your identity. I'm just Serge the Peacemaker.
No, I haven't. I should remember all.
I should tell everybody that.
I should remember all those stories. Yeah, and now I remember rewinding back to the teenage years. Who told me? Somebody from my family or my friends. They told me that you need to go and study and be at the UN peacemakers.
Yes, I'm telling you.
I thought of that too.
Yeah. That's your new through line. Serge, that's a Serge, your peacemaker calling. How are you doing today?
I like that.
So do you
like that.
Do you see the things you've done so far as a success? I mean, do you feel successful?
What do you mean by success?
You'd kind of have to define it. There's a reason that's such an open-ended question.
Yeah, I do.
Well, because some people obviously define it as, confidence in life, or some people is financial, or right?
Yeah, financial success, all kinds of successes out there. Yes, of course, I feel very successful because I'm healthy. My kids are healthy. My wife is healthy. We have a roof under our heads. We have food on our table. So I feel blessed. I feel very wealthy. I feel super successful because money for me doesn't determine success. Mm-hmm. Even though it's a great factor, money pays the bills. Mm-hmm. Money doesn't make you happy. I've seen people with millions that would come and cry on my shoulder and tell me how envious they are of my relationship with my wife and my things in life. And I'm like, dude, you've got millions. I've never even seen a million in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to make $1 million in my life, even though it may seem like it's not that much. But yeah, money, I don't think money determines your success at all because of the story that I just told you.
Right.
And I've had several stories like that where people would tell me I would give all my millions away just to have a healthy relationship with my wife and have a normal relationship with my kids even. So, and these are people that not have millions, they have hundreds of millions. Yeah, I've got a few stories like that.
Yeah.
And then then we have the other millionaires that are enjoying their life and they're healthy and they're helping tons of people. So money is a great tool, but to each their own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a place for it and there's not a place for it. It just depends on where you're supposed to go. I mean, I think the hardest part about being an American, and I really do believe this is an American problem, Serge, is that we believe we're supposed to be rich and famous and have the perfect house, the perfect car, the perfect spouse, all these things so people can look at us and say, now there's a success.
The American dream.
Right? Right. And I mean, and I understand that. It certainly gets pushed into you subconsciously. It's part of the culture. It's a huge part of the culture. And so when you're outside of that, and I'm not suggesting this of you, but, as you know, there isn't a person in the world that hasn't had an ups or a down. Everybody always sort of secretly sort of hides in their psyche somewhere that, well, if I made the money before, I can make it back. But there's this sort of weird identity that comes with money, just money. And when you've never had it, it's really easy to believe that one thing can make everything better. And boy, that's not the case. And yet, if you're a really, really influential man of faith and you have a ton of money, now the spotlight is on you because you sure as hell better not spend it. You better not drive a nice car because now you're a hypocrite because you're saying all I need is Jesus and you got $1 million. What's wrong with you? It's like you can't win. So really, isn't it just about the focus of our heart? I mean, really, you just can't talk about money's good, money's bad, money's evil, money's a tool, because those are all true. It's just, where am I going? Where does God want me to go? Am I actually willing to listen to that? Are you willing to listen to that? Of course. So where are you going from here? Where's God taking you from here? Because you're already having success. What's next for Serge? Is it LSI? I mean, do you have bigger ideas? Tell me.
Yes. Just yesterday, I have a conversation with this young man that I randomly picked up on a Greyhound bus station, and he was on heroin, and I tried to find him a hotel, and I'm going to coordinate his recovery program in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow.
We got him on a bus this morning. And as I was driving back, I was talking to my wife, and she was asking me, like, so we have a conversation, but it leads to exactly what I told her, what I'm going to tell you right now, that all of this is leading me towards what my goal is I want to leave all of this. I would leave all of this tomorrow, LSI, Absolute, all of that, and just go out and be full-time in the ministry and help those young people, help those people to find their recovery.
Right.
Recovery. So that's what I want to do. I want to dedicate my life, and I have dedicated my life. In a way, I look at LSI, I look at Absolute as a ministry.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to tell you.
That's what I was about to say, too. It's the same thing. Yeah. I have been, because everybody, from the time that I was a small company until I actually found a partner that is helping me scale, I've met with about probably 3,000 to 4,000 people from 2006 until 2017, and not a single one of those people that I've met left without hearing my story.
Right.
I shared my story with every single person. I got to help their friends, their relatives, their family members with recovery, with not just credit. They all had problems. I got to help so many people, and it's been like a ministry. And my dream was always to do this on a bigger level. So I want to enable myself with my nonprofit project that is called iMiracle Project.
As in the letter I?
iMiracle Project. My miracle, your miracle. iMiracleProject.org is my nonprofit. It's officially non-religious, nonprofit, 501c3. With this nonprofit project, what we do is we provide sports training to recovery centers, sports programs. We started with soccer through Lead United Soccer Club. That's also what I started 10 years ago to help low-income families and young adults that are in recovery. On YouTube, there is a great documentary about Lead United Soccer Club. So you just type in Lead United, L-E-A-D, Lead United Soccer Club, and you can see what we do with the rehab centers.
Yeah.
Now we have also implemented boxing. We also do boxing, free coaching for recovery centers. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my my vision is I want to I want to just go out and do full-time ministry. And that ministry comes with all the things that I'm planning once we start to do those seminars for the prison facilities. So in a way, I'm already doing it. You know, I've already been doing it. It's just I believe in opening doors. I actually want to take iMiracle Project to Kickstarter and see if we get some funding and get some people all across the country that will be willing to contribute. And it's basically the other part of iMiracle is people sharing their miracle stories. There are tons of miracles all around us.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has a miracle story.
Yes.
Almost everybody
Yes.
has a miracle story that to them it's not even a miracle. to them it's just, oh well, yeah, I survived this motorcycle accident, all my bones were broken and now I'm walking. But yeah,
that's just medicine.
It's just doctors. Yeah, but it's crazy. So my idea is to get people to record like 3-4 minute video stories on video. We capture them on video, 3-4 minutes, then we post them on Google, on YouTube. And for example, car accident miracle.
Yeah.
When people are desperate, they Googling, for example, AFib. AFib is some kind of a heart disease. I've had a woman that I've helped, a young woman. She works somewhere here in Washington. She basically got healed from it completely, and it was a miracle. So she shared her story with me. We got it on video. So when people type in AFib miracle story or AFib cures, boom, automatically the keywords will bring that up. And this is the slogan of my nonprofit, is what I said in the beginning: inspire the world with your miracle story.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to inspire the world. So I want everybody all across the nation, all across the world, hopefully one day, people will start recording their short stories, uploading them onto the portal, and we'll be inspiring the world.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's the vision.
That's awesome. You have so many things going on, man. Does your family wonder if you're ever going to relax?
No.
Is it impossible?
It's possible. When I read, I read a lot. So they see me at night. I could read throughout the whole night and then sleep a couple hours and go up again. So that's when I relax, is when I read.
So let me ask you one final probing question. If you could change anything about your journey, something that you know you could have done differently, what would you have done, or what do you envision as coming? Is there some kind of change coming in your life, or something different?
What would I change? I would change. I would change the way that we eat.
I would do that too.
I would change the way that we eat. The earlier the better, because it impacts everything, even our spiritual life. So back in the day, I don't think I would want to change anything besides trying to spend more time in prayer. Trying to spend more time actually searching and meditating and searching God's will, instead of trying to do things ourselves. And I would change actually getting the right advice from the right mentors. Don't try to figure this out by yourself, as I have. And as I said twice in this interview, that I've made a ton of mistakes. Make sure you have the right mentors in your life. Make sure you have the right people. Seek out advice. Don't make decisions right away, rushed, like we tend to do a lot of times. And then we go, shoot, what did I do? I would give everything to go back and change some of those things and seek the right advice and the right people and the right mentorship.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It's fair. I think I like to ask that question because most people would say they wouldn't change anything because they like who they are, what they've turned into so far. But I think if we're really brave, and that's why I asked you, there's got to be something. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I admire that. Any last thoughts? Anything that you want to share about the future of Serge Bagdasarov or your family, or some legacy things or big ideas that are coming? Anything that's a surprise that I don't know about? No?
No, let's inspire the world together. There's big things are coming for all of us. Major changes. The world is changing. It's unveiling in front of us, all over the place. All those things that are happening right now. We talked about David Wilkerson. Find his book called The Vision for America. He wrote it in 1973. A lot of the things that he talked about, there's an audio book also on YouTube. Vision. 1973 or 1974. A lot of the things that he talked about are coming to reality right now as we speak, as we talk here. So just let's try to always seek God's will in our lives. And as we pray in the prayer, let your will be done. And then we go and we do what we want to do. Let us seek God's will for everything in our lives as much as we can. I don't know what's coming, but I know there's lots of major changes are coming, regardless of who stays in power or who becomes the next president. The world will never be the same.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Yes.
I appreciate you, my friend. I thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you've got the busiest life of anybody I've ever met, and the fact that you would peel away an hour from me is really special, so thank you.
No worries.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing. All right.
Thank you. Take care.